Okay, it is day number 13 of our self discovery January journal challenge. And I really can't believe that it's almost 2 weeks now. And so we've been going on this journey all this month. And today's word of the day is support. We are talking about support today. We talked about consistency yesterday. And so a lot of things we've talked about over the last 2 weeks have really been more centered around looking in. But when we think about support, we think about looking at our tribe and how we can ask for support, partnership, and connectivity from others. But we also look at ways in which we can be supportive, in ways we can partner and collaborate and just be authentic in our relationships by showing up for people when they need us. And when we think about support, we are not talking about enabling people when we help them, but we're talking about just being there for someone else. And so again, as we go on our journal challenge, I am asking everyone to, dedicate a journal specifically for our journal challenge. And if you want the questions delivered to your inbox and be able to access the videos from the past 2 weeks without scrolling through the news feed, you can text journal 30 to 39492. Journal 30 to 39492. So, okay, so let's move forward. So let's just think about ways. First of all, let's talk about ways in which we might need support. When we think about support, sometimes it's just being emotionally supportive to someone else. Sometimes it's about our physical presence. Sometimes people just need us to be there. They need to see us. Sometimes it might just be someone, needs you to be a listener. Okay, we talked about last week about being engaged as far as engagement with other people. So that those are ways that we can be supportive to others. Sometimes people do need support in the form of resources. Okay, and that might be monetary, but it's not always a monetary resource. Sometimes people need you to connect them with someone else, or they might need your partnership in a way of maybe some knowledge that you might have. And so as we look at our tribe, we have to look at, are we in connectivity and partnership with people who we aspire to be, or people who uplift us and encourage us, and people who we support in as well. That is when we think about partnership and having a village, mindset. Sometimes it's just, like I said, just showing up for someone, just being there, just listening. And so our first journal question today, again, our word of the day is support. I want you to look at areas in your life. Where do you need support, but you are not asking for it? Where do you need support, but you are not asking for it? A lot of times it's fear that keeps us from reaching out for help, because we might have wounds from that. And then basically, when we talk about wounds, I'm talking about emotional wounds and scars that we don't want someone else to touch. It is also rooted in pride. Okay, and so oftentimes, if you think about pride is the root of offense. Okay, when you think about times you've been offended or wounded, that might be a barrier to you for asking for support in something. Also, you have to look at, do you think you know more than someone else, or you know everything, and no one else can maybe help you or come alongside of you? That's something to kind of uncover and look at as well. There are so many different layers to some of the wounds that we have when it comes to asking for help. But we are not an island. And I started off on day one when we talked about bondage, telling you that the reason why we're going on this journey of self-discovery is that because we can go further together than we can go alone. The African proverb I posted on the first day of Kwanzaa, Umoja, is basically says that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so when we think about support, we're looking at our tribe. Okay, we definitely want to make sure that not only we look at ways in our life that we are not asking for support, but we also need to look inward, which brings us to our next question. Where are you not being supportive? Where are you not being supportive? How can you partner more with others by showing up, by listening, by aiding others in with resources that you have, whether it's intellectual resource, monetary resource, a connectivity resource, whatever that is. Now, we are not talking today about, we're not analyzing our tribe and analyzing wounds, because of course we can list reasons why we don't want to do A, B, and C, but we're looking at genuine, authentic relationships, healthy relationships that we have in our life, whether it is our core tribe of people who we love, our family and friends, or we might have a tribe within our business or career field, or within our spiritual communities. Okay, there are so many ways that we can be cohesive and connected and partnership and collaborate with each other so that we can be better. When we are hurting, it is hard for us to go to someone else. And that also, we talked about fear and pride, but there's also an issue of trust there. And so we talked about consistency yesterday, and we talked about how consistency is the building block of trust. Then we understand today, as we talk about support, why it is very important to be consistent in our relationships and be consistent with the way that we treat ourselves. Because again, as we talked about yesterday, consistency is the building block of trust. Okay, so the main thing we can do to make sure that we are being consistent is to make sure that our deeds line up with our declarations, and to make sure that when we make decisions that we, one, have boundaries, okay, and that we also make sure that the decisions we make are in alignment with our purpose. If you notice, if you've been following along the last 2 weeks, I'm giving you words that we have went over: boundaries, alignment, consistency, which brings us today to support. Okay, we talked on day one. I always go back to day one when we talked about bondage, because in order for us to operate in trust and operate in consistency and to be in alignment, we definitely have to make sure that we are looking at areas of our life, looking within of where we might be in bondage. Because if we are having some bondage issues around certain situations, consistency is not going to be there. Okay, alignment is not going to be there. You definitely are not going to have boundaries. And so that is what we talk about on the road to bringing us to today, when we think about being supportive. Don't always look at resources and we think about support. I think the first thing we think financial, monetary, but there are so many ways that we can be of help to one another, that we can build each other up, and we can empower and encourage one another. And sometimes your support can go to someone who is not in your tribe. Sometimes it's just an encouraging word that you can give to a stranger, someone who you might just connect with visually or energetically, that you might see just passing by. You never know how far that will go. And so all of these things help to build our character. It helps us to grow. It helps us to, continue to pull back different layers that we have going on in our life. And so that brings us to today's affirmation. If you are struggling in an area where it's hard to ask for support, remember that in order to give, you also have to be able to receive. Okay, you also have to be able to receive, and that's a lesson that I've had to learn, and we all have to know how to have balance. I'm sorry, in both areas of our life. You definitely don't want to be a person who's considered just a taker. So when we talk about asking for support, whether it's knowledge, a resource, someone showing up or listening, you have to know that there has to be balance there. Okay. There has to be an equal sacrifice of support. You might not be able to give equally, but you have to be able to sacrifice in an equal way that is uplifting and encouraging. And so today's affirmation around support is simply, I ask for support when I need it, and I give support when needed. I ask for support when needed, and I give support. Basically, I ask for the support I need. I support others in need. And so basically what we want to do is just take inventory in our life and take a real authentic inventory. Be transparent with yourself. And what that means is don't avoid looking in, because a lot of times it's hard for us to take a deep look in the mirror. So look in your life where, you know what, I really need some support in this area. It could just be emotional. It could be, maybe you need a resource, maybe you need to just talk to someone. And then not only do I ask for support when I need it, but I give support to others in need. People are not really going to be so open and free to pour into you, okay, if you are one who you do not pour into others. If you are one who you don't show up, for other people. We talked about scorekeepers as well one day. Don't be a person who you start keeping score now. Okay, then you're teetering on the line, of resentments. We talked about that. Just give from your heart, whatever that might be. Give from your heart and give freely, and you just watch doors open up for you when that is truly who you are, when you are authentic in your giving, when you are sincere, and when you are giving from a place of abundance. You want to make sure you're giving out of abundance. And when I mean abundance, I don't mean that you have so much, but giving out of an abundance of care, out of an abundance of concern, out of an abundance of generosity, and also from a place that is cheerful and not grudging. Okay, so if you want the journal questions, again, we have been on this journey for just about 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. I have enjoyed our time together thus far, and I want to make sure that you are getting everything that you need, the questions, and you're able to access some of the videos that I have referenced, okay? Because I will always make a reference to a previous video, because some of these principles build upon each other. So you want to text journal 30 to 39492, journal 30 to 39492. That is all I have for you this evening. I give thanks for you. I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.